Hello, good afternoon to everyone, and welcome to the 47th IAH Congress. My name is Barbara Zambelli, and I'm here today presenting the paper, Water Insecurity in São Paulo, an Intersectional Framework, written by Jéssica Barcelos, Thalita Gantos, Julia Moreira, and me. Due to the sexual division of labor, usually, women are in charge of the social reproduction of life, including, for example, household work, such as cleaning, cooking, washing, just to cite a few. That depends heavily on water. Therefore, they are the ones responsible for fetching water. So, if there are no taps available, the women and girls have to go to the nearest source of water, public well, private well, or surface source such as rivers and lakes to be able to get their supply. Sometimes they have to walk for hours or wait long lines to get their buckets filled up. In addition to the household work is the care work. In general, women are responsible for taking care of children, the elderly, and the ill. The combination of the above-mentioned factors results in girls spending less time than boys at school. This reflects later in their lives and careers, resulting in different job opportunities and different salaries, deepening the gender inequality. For these reasons, women are the most affected by water insecurity. However, not all women are affected in the same way. Brazil is one of the most unequal countries in the world, and so is the access to the public infrastructure, such as water and sewage pipelines. In 2021, over 12% of Brazilians are living in less than 246 reais per month, about 44 US dollars, the established level of extreme poverty according to PNAD, Brazilian Institute of Geography and Statistics. Considering Brazil's most densely populated cities, such as São Paulo and Rio de Janeiro, water insecurity falls mostly upon Black impoverished people living at the fringes of urbanization. There are plenty of favelas without access to sanitation, with a scarce water supply, or use of contaminated water by shallow wells and boreholes. However, the scenario is quite different in middle upper and upper class neighborhoods. This pattern repeats itself all over the country in big cities such as Belo Horizonte, Fortaleza, Brasília, Belém, and Recife. In this paper, we aim at establishing a link between gender, race, water insecurity, and class in São Paulo, the biggest city of Latin America. Further, water insecurity increases social vulnerability to COVID-19, making this scenario even more critical for women, not only because of the exposure to contamination, but also because of the increase in the burden of housework and care. To do so, we performed the socio-spatial analysis regarding the socioeconomic vulnerability, racial distribution, and the access to public basic water and sanitation infrastructure. The first step was to gather and sample the public data available. At this point, we highlight the lack of transparency and interoperability, and the complexity of the search engine as the main challenges to overcome, as well as the necessity of building a unified database, intuitive and easy to use, of public information to support both research and the decision-making process. Having said that, we used sex-disaggregated data from the Legislative Assembly of São Paulo State, the Social Vulnerability Index, Rede Nossa São Paulo, Inequality Map of São Paulo's Metropolitan Area, and the Brazilian Institute of Geography and Statistics, National Survey by Household Sampling. Following, we applied univariate descriptive statistics to subscribe and summarize the set of parameters and present the results as a series of thematic maps. As a result, we elaborated those three thematic maps. The first one shows the spatial distribution of Black population in São Paulo's different neighborhoods. The darker color means a higher proportion of Black people. The second map showed the women's average income. Once again, darker the color, higher the wage. Last but not least, the third map shows the percentage cover of access to water and sanitation infrastructure. Here, dark blue indicates a coverage of almost 100%. From the maps, it's possible to observe that the neighborhoods where the women's wages are higher, located in the expanded center, the proportion of white people and the access to water and sanitation infrastructure were also higher. Let's take Moema, for example. It's the district where women have the highest income of all São Paulo city, with an average of 4,908 reais a month. It is also the district where the lowest percentage of Black people and the highest access to water and sanitation infrastructure, over 99%. Nonetheless, people that live in peripheral regions are mostly Black, hold lower incomes, and have less access to water and sanitation infrastructure. Taking Parelheiros in southern São Paulo as an example, 56% of the population is Black, only 36% have access to water and sanitation, and the average women income is as low as 493 reais per month. By a way of comparison, I bring here those two maps elaborated by Lab Cidade from São Paulo State University, USP. The first one is similar to our map, and it shows the distribution of Black people in São Paulo city. And the second one shows the death rate for COVID-19. It's possible to observe from the maps a superposition of a lack of water and sanitation, lower incomes, higher rates of Black inhabitants, and higher COVID-19 mortality. However, it's noteworthy that the intention of this article is not to stigmatize the relationship between pandemic and favelas. What we are looking for is exactly the opposite. Use spatial analysis to show that places with higher proportion of impoverished Black people are not coincidentally the places to which public policies are least intended to, and where public water and sanitation infrastructure lacks. So, finishing up and carrying out this work, we sought to investigate the issue of water insecurity accentuated by the COVID-19 pandemic through a sociological spatialized approach, combining race, class, and gender. This is because we understand that an analysis of inequalities in access to basic water and sanitation in Brazil cannot be intended to be complete if it does not consider that Brazilian society is a producer of and produced by inequalities, which are the roots and the reflection of a historically unequal urban spatial configuration. Furthermore, we started from the premise that access to water and basic sanitation services is not a matter of charity and assistance. On the contrary, it's characterized as a social right linked to the promotion of equality, as well as freedom and the realization of citizenship. We know that the virus makes no biological distinction between class, gender, and race, but its most brutal consequences are related to spaces in which coping measures are weakened by the failure to fulfill fundamental rights, such as the right to water and access to basic sanitation. Therefore, we find that Carolina Maria de Jesus already denounced it is exactly her similar Black and marginalized women who are the most affected by water insecurity in contradictory São Paulo. Thank you very much.